Hello, fearless gamers, and welcome to another episode of, I guess, Touching Base here on Fearless Games.
Yeah, pretty. Uh, what is up?
How's it going? How's it going? Been a
Pretty,
while?
pretty good, pretty good. I have committed exterminatus to my front lawn.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I think it looks perfect.
Yeah, right. It was, it wasn't pure, so I eliminated it.
But then it turns out that you were possessed by a demon and did it to appease Corn.
Well,
You know,
eh, chaos happens. But
it's so. Um, we got a couple of things we're going to be talking about today here on this. I guess we'd call this touching base. We'll
yeah,
call the podcast touching base.
yeah. Why not?
Yeah,
Touch it.
why not?
Grassroots style.
Just why not workshopping? We're workshopping things. um,
Boom.
it's like because technically, yeah, we did call the acolyte stuff touching base.
Yeah, it
um,
works. It
yep,
works. It
it
all
works.
comes full circle.
But unlike acolyte, we won't get canceled yet.
Yet, yes.
Um, so we, as the title describes, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Space Marine 2, the quality of 40K miniatures, and we had something else we were going to discuss, and I forgot what it was. Joy Toy. We'll be talking about
Yes.
Joy Toy. Um,
Because what? But
Say what? So, the first and foremost here, I want to talk about this because this kind of inspired this get together originally is quality of GW miniatures. I've been seeing a lot of discussion, particularly with the 40K line, of how well all the minis that GW's been producing have been. Particular notes of displeasure that have been there has been the new Inquisitor. I can never remember his name.
is that
Um,
is that one Cody has?
yes,
The
Kodiaz.
Coteas?
That's
Or
him.
however you pronounce that. A
Um,
C who puts a Coteaz as a name?
he does. Kodiaz does. That wasn't how his name was spelt, but when he became an Inquisitor, it's like Christian names. You know, he's like, no, my Inquisitor name is Kodiaz, and it's spelt this way. But
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like his front cod piece because it looks like he's wearing a diaper. Um, there's
What he
also,
is.
yep, how old is the man? You know, Juvenac treatments only go so far.
Yeah.
And they say the bowels are the first thing to go. um, Also, a lot of people aren't happy with the new Sanguary Guard with the little wing designs on the fins of the jump packs, which I'm sitting there going, really? Does that really bother you? Like, they're wings on fins. You know, the Raven Wing had it. No one complained about the land speeders that had them. The land speeder Vengeance has like little wing patterns
Yeah.
on the fins. No one complained about that. And it's just a wing slapped on top of the fin. I don't see what the big deal with this is.
I feel like I could see the realm of which people are coming from with certain things,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also like, really? So what I mean by that is there has been since Age of Sigmar and Primaris Marines a lot of talk of wow, the Stormcasts and the Primaris seem to share a lot of
Yep.
shape.
I see a lot of people using Stormcasts for kit bashing Primaris Marines.
Right, and they do, and there's a lot of similarities you can draw upon that, and then other miniatures that comes post that. And I personally feel like I understand maybe the displeasure of that because prior to this happening, power armor stuff really was much more diverse all around. And I look at that as kind of a, they're streamlining their process. You're going to have pros and cons with that. And I feel like it's also part of maybe CAD software. And like, oh, we have a base model. We already did the design and the process to have base legs. Let's just throw some MacGuffins on it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have something that looks very similar. So I can understand the displeasure there, but I also can see maybe on a production standpoint, it just makes it easier for them. Which, the question rises of, should it be easier? Well, they're a business to make money. Don't forget that. So of course they're going to streamline. If they can pinch, 0.01 penny per production, and then you extrapolate that over thousands upon thousands of productions, they're saving money, right? Yeah. So there is that. But as far as quality goes, even their little diaper concern, which I don't really get because we've always had stuff around that section on models.
I can pseudo understand part of it because out of all the model, it seems to be much wider than the rest of them. Like, it does catch the eye.
Right. I mean, I could see that, but it's like the quality is there. There's no denying it. I'm sorry. Like, look at these miniatures. Look at stuff back and forth, Ed, between the pewter and the plastic at the time. Just look at fabric design on a model for like a flowing cape or something, where we're at now versus where we were, right? It's now much more of a fine texture and everything else. Like, it's thinner.
So looking at the model again, it looks like it's not like that it's big and like it's not really fat and broad, but it is long. It does take up a good chunk of his lower waist. Yeah. Like, it goes up pretty high, like old man pants. So I can see it, probably. But at the same time, before he had a tabard there, so it kind of blocked that piece. So you never really saw it until.
I get it,
but
there's something to be said also about the fact that it's not one person who's saying this. There's a whole group. So people are seeing it, and I get that. But this is also what I find kind of funny. If you remember the very first Blade Guard veteran we saw, people complain about the tabard thing, and it's fine. It's standard pair. So I'm not saying that this is the same concept. I'm just saying we've had,
I think that argument is going to be more for the Sanguinary Guard, where I remember everyone going, "Oh, the tiny wings, they're so stupid." It's like they're just wing patterns on the blades of the jump pack.
It's decor. It's decor. It's not like it's functional. It's different.
It's no sillier than them slapping the angel wing on their shoulder pads. Like I said, we've had other models. The Landspeeder Vengeance, its wing pads have a little wing design that takes up the whole tiny fin. So it's not the first time they've done this.
Right. It's just.
I think it's more people are upset that they didn't actually keep the wings.
And with the Sanguinary Guard, right? We're talking the Blood Angels. And if there's ever been a chapter of Space Marines that was, I'm an angel, it's the Blood Angels, right?
Especially since we got the Sanguinor, he's got pretty I'm sorry, but I think they just stole Saint Celestine's model and just slapped a Space Marine on it because with the ribbons and the wings, that's just what I think of at first glance.
Right. But the Blood Angels, their Primarch is the Winged Angel. Like their angelic is a big motif of their design. Yeah. So I totally understand the fact that it's like, hey, of all the chapters, we're the most wannabe angel. Give us functional wings as opposed to a jump pack. Totally get that.
Yep.
Even though it wasn't really...
they gave us Gabriel Seth, who he got to keep his jump pack wings.
Yeah. Gabriel Seth has a jump pack?
Yeah. Not Seth. Astrath the Grim.
Oh, Astrath the Grim. Right. He does, and he looks great. But, the wings on the Sanguinary Guard originally weren't even really functional. They were just bigger, more design ornate. Yeah. It still had a jump pack. And I understand wanting that, because, that is cooler. But we're also here to be we're also here to win a war, folks, basically. So we're going to fight how we're going to fight, and we're going to do what we're going to do to win. Yeah. So, don't get me wrong. I get it. As much as Wing Zero from Gundam Wing is really cool to be a plane, I all for sacrificing the ability to turn to a plane to have angelic wings and endless waltz. So, I get the need to have angelic wings. I get it. But the models are fine. I you know, I'm surprised there's less because like they're not wrist mounted weapons anymore, right?
Yeah, no, they don't have wrist mounted weaponry. I think
I'm
probably
surprised.
because they were like, oh no, that's the Grey Knights thing.
Yeah, but I actually like that. I'm surprised there isn't much about that, to be honest with you. But I think they look good. And people are complaining about the death masks that they're wearing. I'm like, it's a death mask. It's not supposed to be hyper A, realistic, or B, look like one. Yes, it's sanguinous, but they're death masks.
Yeah. The
It's.
Probably the one thing that I personally don't like is, at least going off these two examples, is that Cortez's eagle is now a separate model. I'm like, why is that?
Right.
Unless it serves a function. Like, I don't, as much as I love the Dark Angels and all that, I don't like the Watcher in the Dark being part of the Terminators, because they're like, he's just there, just ignore him. It's like, then why is he there? Like when the game
Yeah,
design just says he doesn't need to be there. He's just there for your remembering he's got war gear. At least with like Azrael, it does something.
yeah, but
And
it was always weird with Azrael too, right? Because it's also ignore me. Like I'm here, I do something, but I also am completely nada for movement. Like just move me out of the way, basically is
yeah,
what it says. It's always been a bit weird with the Watchers in the Dark.
or like another good example is like
Oop, not the
uh-oh,
camera.
like um let's see, just just like some of those little characters where they have like little bits like Makari with Gazgul. Why is Makari there? He doesn't. The model is basically just there to give him an invone save. It can't break apart from him, as far as I'm aware.
I
Correct
don't
me if
think
I'm
it can.
wrong.
My camera has completely gone off its rocker.
Uh oh,
Um,
you're being invaded.
I am. I'm gonna have to fight it. That's good enough.
Let me see,
There we go.
because I don't think the Orc Codex is out yet. Let me see. Is Makari his own model?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. Certain things, right? Like
Yeah.
certain things are there to represent war gear. And while I like that idea because it doesn't clog up a base,
Mm-hmm.
like an ammo grot, for example, or something like that,
Yeah.
and you could use it as if it is a consumable, let's say, and I'm not saying that one is, I don't remember, but certain things are.
Yeah.
Once it's used, you can get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a cool physical representation, but not really um, one where you're like, man, we need this to work because we don't.
Yeah. So I just kind of hope that the eagle does something other than just it's there.
That would be better and preferable to
Um,
just being there, but
and
on
I
the other hand, it's a cool eagle model, and I'm
Yep.
sure it will be used for a lot of like special like either like dioramic conversion stuff
Yep.
because it's cool.
And going off of the whole, I don't think that the quality of the models have gone down, because now we have like everyone was starting to do this. Oh, their model design is getting worse and worse. Then the Warhammer Plus Inquisitor model dropped, and that thing looks beautiful.
Oh yeah,
One of my friends who never had any interest in Warhammer Plus has subscribed just to get that model.
I, I don't necessarily think the quality like design choice. I think is a better way to describe it. What people are complaining about because the and you could say I think the death match looks a little derpy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine, but that's gonna be personal taste. You could say, um, and you could take what pick is the most critically acclaimed best thought model ever created by GW, and you can go, I think it looks dumb, right? That's just
Mm-hmm.
personal taste at that point, or being jaded.
Yep.
But I think the quality is there. It's not like these models are bad quality. I think people are it's kind of like if you really like a certain food, you have a favorite food, and somebody's like, "Oh, cool, he's got this favorite food. We're always gonna make sure he can have his favorite food." You're gonna be like, you know what? I could go for something else, right? It's kind of like the what was that story? I forget if it was I forget if it was I don't know if it was no, not Tales from the Crypt. What's the other one? Twilight Zone, where the gambler dies, goes to what he thinks heaven, and he's always winning and gambling, and it's like, what makes you think you're in heaven? Type of deal. Like
Okay.
you get bored. You get bored of constant
Yeah.
good. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's your favorite food, but you after a time you're like, you know what? Can I just have a burger or something, right? Like just something different. I think we've been honestly treated to a lot of really nice models for
Yeah.
so long, and a lot of really cool designs. And every time they redo Lamarte, she's awesomer and awesomer, right? Even now, he's got a mouth that opens on his helmet. It's amazing. Um, like, but then you're just like, okay, everything is looking good. So we. It's kind of like, is it legitimate concern that some people have? Of course, there's always gonna be. But I also think it's a lot of going, well, we've been firing on all cylinders for so long. I gotta nitpick it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. Could you say there's some maybe laziness in certain design choices from GW? Sure. But you also got to realize that they're also a company trying to make money, and one of the ways you make money, for good or ill, for the player base, is you don't remake the same thing, and you change it.
Yep.
So, like, what's going to identify that Sanguinary Guard model from the prior gen is that look that's different.
Yep.
What identifies these is they're more Primaris-sized and they have different look. Like, that's how you generate interest. Like, the only bad press is no press. So
Yep.
people talking about this Sanguinary Guard model or this Inquisitor model going, I think it's silly, gets it out there. The more it's out there, the more people see it, giving you a better chance, more people buying it. So if we just remade the Sanguinary Guard, only now they are slightly bigger in scale, it's like, really? Whatever. So they did something. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong, but it could be a bit lazy on their design choice. But they've also been doing this for what, 40,000 years, like 40 years, 40. I don't know. I forget how old 40K
I
is.
think we're coming up on the 50th anniversary.
Like, a company doing the same IP for so long, you're gonna have little lulls in their design creativity,
Yeah.
right? This is a setting, like, I've always looked at 40K as this is over the top of the setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, sometimes you got to take a breath and be like, okay, how do we overtop this again?
Yep. And that's why and sometimes and like going off of that, it's going to be very curious because they announced at the roadmap that was practically nothing, that they were going to change Ajimar of the Dire Avengers, and that's going to be a very curious thing with that kind of design because Joss, I know he's no longer there anymore. Josh Goodwin, I think that's how his name, the model designer. I'm gonna bothering me now who his.
So you're talking about
The guy that designed most of the.
But you're talking about the Phoenix Lord,
Yeah,
Sermon or whatever it is.
Azerman.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I always pronounce it Azerman.
no, I just want to
Yeah.
make sure I'm on this. What we're talking about the same character. Talking about the Dire Avenger one. Okay.
Yeah. Jas Goodwin, who was designed all of them. His big thing is if I could redo that guy, I would change his head because I think it looks stupid. When they were doing the book cover for his book, the cover artist was like, yeah, it was really hard to do that book because he's so impractical. I don't know how to make him look cool and awesome battle posing with that helmet. So we got to be prepared for what kind of changes they do without making them look different. Like, there's the one thing. You can get away with changing a lot of the Space Marine characters because of Primarisizing. Oh, Asmodai. Asmodai could be slightly altered in his appearance because he's now a Primaris, so his armor's different, his gear is different.
Also, that model is amazing.
Yes,
it
is. Same with Azrael. Same with the Sanguinor. That was like kind of one of the things that always bothered me with the Black Templar Emperor's Champion. They're like, the armor of faith is an ancient piece of power armor. I'm like, it's Mark 10. That's not that old.
Yeah.
That's not the Armor of Fate anymore. That's Armor of Fate 2.0.
Yeah.
But they're pitching it like it's the original Armor of Fate. It's like, it's not. Look at the knees.
Yeah.
But with characters like a good example is Magenra.
Yeah.
Dramatic difference from where he came from to where he is now.
look cool though. He
Yeah,
looks amazing.
he does look amazing, but like there's going to be people out there going, well, why did the armor change? Because it's an ancient set of armor, why did it change and all that? That's where I think the big challenge is going to be, is these characters that effectively don't change, but they need a new model that will sell it. Because if it looks exactly the same, people are just going to be like, well, I got the old model, I'll just use that one.
Right. I
So,
think that's where people need to learn to like let it go a little bit,
yep.
because you can have ancient armor,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, you took a heavy bolter to the chest and it stopped it, but we now need to maybe repair it or something, right? Like we got to fix it. It's part of keeping something that's ancient in operable order is to maintain it, and maintaining it sometimes involves refitting it and
Yep.
doing stuff. So that's your explanation for anything, even in 40K, even for the Imperium, who is so technophobic,
Yep.
right, with their stuff. You could say, well, the the you know the armor that has been passed down for millennia uh, also withstood millennia of warfare and needs to be repaired. So
No.
like,
But I think that's the big thing. I feel like GW is, like, some people have brought up maybe GW is using new model design teams. I mean, like, Jess Goodwin can't, he's retired. He can't keep making models forever. So obviously, new blood's going to be coming in, and these new bloods basically got to get their sea legs on this stuff, and they may not know how things would work design, or they may be looking at it at a totally different way. So, like, for example, um, like the Terminator armor librarian, a lot of people, the last firstborn one, were complaining about the head placement, because it's like, he's doing this, how is his arm so long, you know because the guy that did the model might be, maybe fresh youth, fresh blood, maybe going, okay, let me look at the concept art of how Terminator works. Okay, so my design would work because of the way the guy's sitting in the Terminator armor. But us who don't know it are like, so his arms attached to his ears? How does that work?
right, and I think, and sometimes you're gonna have designs that just kind of they falter for people.
Yeah.
It's no different than like there's a really kind of infamous comic art of Captain America.
Oh, you talk about the
With the
live
chest,
fell chest.
yeah, with the chest is like,
Yep.
what is going on here? But and like you could have that in certain models
Mm-hmm.
in anything, like not just 40K or whatever. And you might have, and maybe there is some new blood and some old blood working together. Maybe there's a different directive. We have to remember this company does have people that have to appease and things they have to do and
Yeah.
directions that you have to follow. It's no different than like if I magically had design prowess and was working there with my enjoyment of the setting and everything. If they tell me, look, you gotta design this to have this, I can't go, well, it's not actually no, that's them. They're telling me to
Yep.
do this. I gotta do this. So that's what you gotta do. It's the job at the end of the day,
Yep.
right? But like we could see things mature.
Mm-hmm.
I use mature as in like, develop.
Yep.
And we could see things come from that. But I just my big thing is I hesitate to say that like they got a new design team and they're bad, right?
Yeah.
Because to everybody says that, I go, well, put up or shut up, right? You design it. Like, let's see what you got.
I
Let's
mean,
see what you got in the realm of what they will let you do.
like, to be fair, now, like I said, going off of that, um, one of the Eldar, when they first came out, were given to the youngins that were the new design modelers. Jess Goodwin was saying how, they didn't really care how the Eldar looked, so they gave them to me because it was my first project. And if you look at the original Striking Scorpion next to the new one that Jess designed, not the current one, because, well, actually, it's based off of Jess's design, there's a night and day difference in how good it is. And, like, yeah, the old one has that, but it's the original, it's so retro and cool. Yeah, but it's not as cool looking as the new one. And
Right.
you could
And
see the progress he made with that. Before, it was just they're wearing a leotard and they slapped plates on their armor. Now they're all segmented, and you can see how their armor bends and flexes and works with itself.
Yeah, there's going to be a natural progression in the aptitude of designers
Yep.
that are, even if, and it's not about like, oh, they're new, so they're bad.
Yep.
It's they're new to a setting,
Mm-hmm.
and once you become more acclimated in a setting, you suddenly like your design prowess seems that much sharper. Even if you don't necessarily improve because you were good, you now have an understanding of what you're designing for.
Yep.
You have a feel for it, and it just works better. I mean, let's look at Lamarte's. We also have to look at the concept of technology, right? Back in the day, if you the original Shrike model, computer Shrike model, he has like a tabard, it's not a tabard, like the kind of like cape and stuff in the back and everything.
Okay.
Whatever he had, like cloth wise. When you look at the cloth runs the entire width of the body because it's pewter and has to be cast a certain way, and you couldn't make it thin. So it's a very thick cloth that you can't tell, thankfully, from his pose until you turn him upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal. Now you look at models with robes and cloaks and other flowing cloth objects, and they are thin, and they are that thin because the plastic technology is so much better than plastic technology back then. They can do that,
Yep.
and even resin today is really good for that too. Look at Lamarte's model when he was like doing a weird Proteus pose thing. Looked really weird, and then and then the update model was amazing, and this new one is also very good coming for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying it's the same designer over time, but I'm just saying sometimes it's not even the fact that you are being limited because you're new to a setting. You're limited by what the technology of your time,
Yep.
right? More or less. So like,
That's a good example of speaking of like in go switch it over to War Machine. There was a model that came out, and it was a Menoth unit, and it's supposed to be the avatar of Menoth, and it's this god character being held down by chains by three acolytes. The guy drew it, and then he's like, okay, send it to the model maker, and goes, here, you could make this into a model. And he goes, who do you think I am? That you think I can make what you just drew feasible? Like, because granted, today, just seeing how, like, just using Age of Sigmar models and such, the Menoth avatar could be done easily now. But back then, the guy's like, you don't understand. I don't even know how you could make this work as a model. Because, yeah, you could draw it all you want. That doesn't mean it's feasible to make it 3D.
right, and that's the thing. So I just feel like the fan base. Sometimes we get caught up in being a fan base. We don't think about all layers that go into making a basic Primaris lieutenant or something, right?
Yeah.
Like the most basic of models for an army, we don't think about the different, just the directive from on high down to the actual designers and then the all the different things involved. You know, they're not flipping burgers back there,
Yeah.
right? There's more involved to it than that,
Uh,
and sometimes I think we forget that
mm-hmm.
as a fan base because the fan base, like any fan base, whether it's War Machine or Warmer Hordes, as you like to call it, um, uh, Games Workshop, whatever, is a passionate fan base.
Yep. There.
And that equates to ravenous hunger for new things and it being virtually unquenchable.
Yep.
And sometimes we have to hold that in check for ourselves and realize I'm not trying to give a pass for bad models or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. But sure, something might seem silly, and when you have enough people saying the same thing on their own volition, there's this point to be had. But I don't think the quality is poor. Maybe design choices need to be reevaluated.
Going off of that, like, you know, we as a fan base don't really know a lot of what behind the scenes. A nice example of that is catching 3D printed models in the codex. A lot of times now, people post it on Facebook. Oh my OMG, GW's 3D printing models, what does this mean and all that? And everyone's like, yeah, dude, didn't you know that? We learned that like 4 years ago. For everyone who doesn't know, there's sometimes you'll catch, if you look in certain codexes, pictures of a model, you'll see model lines on the model because it was 3D printed. GW now does what we've learned is whenever they design a new model, they'll 3D print it to see if it works. Then once they get that confirmation, then they'll make the CAD mold and create the plastic injection. They'll make the CAD injection mold in process and make it in plastic. But they have that model already, so they throw to the model making team and go, "Yo, paint this up so we have pictures to take," because they don't want to wait for the plastic models, because the plastic models may not be ready in time for the codex to hit print. So like that's one of those things. A lot of people today, back in the day, we didn't know that, so we were like, "Wait, what? What's going on here? Are we going 3D print? What's going on?" And then was like, "Oh yeah," and now it's an everyday like, "Yeah, didn't you know that?" And it's same thing here.
and
We don't know how
what's
the
going
design
on?
team's going on. We don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and to speak on the 3D print part, like making a plastic sprue, the reason why a lot of companies still don't do plastic, or newer companies are going towards resin now, or maybe just straight up staying 3D printed, is because doing that sprue extrusion technology is very expensive.
Very.
So GW is going to do everything they can to make sure it works for that process.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, I say I can't say guarantee, but I will. That when they 3D print it, they 3D print it in the bits that it would be for a sprue to see if it works.
Yep. To see if it'll
And
all go together and work, because a lot of them are
yeah,
snap fit, or not for are monoposed. You can't.
yeah,
So you can't just go, this model piece, it may not work. They'll figure it out by posing it weird. No, now they have to make sure they work.
yeah. So this is called prototyping and making sure it works. Now, on the flip side, I will say, GW, if you're doing this, bring back your bit ordering where you just 3D print the bit. But anyway,
Seriously,
because that would be awesome. And I will say, I do very much miss modular models instead of being very much clamshell, as I call it. But whatever. The point is that just because a 3D printing isn't the end of the world, it's a fantastic way to prototype something.
Yep.
They 3D print parts for a whole bunch of different industries because it's so much cheaper to just 3D print it once, test things, measure it, make sure it works, and then send it off to get, in this case, to do the sprue method, or to, I don't know, cast it in iron somewhere or something, and then go, oh, it doesn't work right. So that's why we have this. But I just don't see it as a quality issue, more so maybe it's design choice.
Yeah, I think I'll probably saying using quality in the wrong terms in this subject.
No, yeah.
But it's essentially a question of, is the model design going downhill for 40K? Because no one seems to complain about the Age of Sigmar models. They're all complaining about the 40K models,
and that's because a lot of Age of Sigmar models are either new in the case of Stormcast, or they haven't had that many revisions.
Yep. And
I also think, while quality might be a bit of a misnomer, it's also not, because what do you hear about these silly models? Oh, they're awful.
Yep.
They're not awfully designed. They're awful as in they look bad.
Yes.
And they don't. They're designed like. Here's a great example. I think Wolfen are bleh, but they're fantastically quality designed, right? I never liked the idea of a Wolfen. I think it's silly just on the lore concept. I think the models are absolutely silly. I think, what is it? Kill Maw, whatever the dumb dreadnought without a helmet on to bite you somehow.
Murder Fang.
Murder Fang.
That's his name.
Murder Fang. I think that's all absolutely ridiculous and silly, and I hate it in terms of that concept. But the quality is undeniable, right? Yeah. But the thing is, if you talk about it in the capacity of, oh, that's dumb, this is awful, people are hearing, oh, it must be. People aren't thinking design; they're thinking the model's awful, as in the model.
Yeah.
And so it might be a bit of a misnomer, but it's also the way things are discussed that would portray certain things. Mm-hmm. But I just think sometimes you gotta let them cook. Yep. Sometimes the end result is much better, after a little bit of time in the oven. Maybe this is this, and then I'm not saying they're gonna do Sanguinary Guard right away again, but whatever comes after that for Blood Angels, whatever, it'd be really cool.
And once the Codex comes out and they find out they're the most broken units in the game, no one will care how they look.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
Speaking of cooking, Joy Toy has been pumping out crap I didn't even consider we needed as an action figure.
Dude, I went to their website before they even announced the new Terminators and the Space Marine 2 toys, and whatever else. And I was like, since when did they have this?
Like, when they said they were doing like things that threw me for a loop were the drop pod. No, was it the drop pod? No, there was a vehicle that they gave. I think it was the ATV. They had the ATV. They had the Dreadnought. They now have the Leviathan Dreadnought. I didn't even know Lehman Russ was out.
Yeah, no, they did white consoles. Why? Like, I don't like. I'm not saying they're a bad chapter or anything, but out of all the chapters to get some Joy Toys, why? Like, they did Necrons. I didn't. That completely missed. I missed that one.
Yep.
They did Tau, which I missed, and they have Orc stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and then the amount of stuff they have.
Magnus the Red? I didn't even... Half these things I didn't even know about. Wow. They're pumping them out faster than GW can announce them.
Yeah, no, they're doing a lot. They got bikes. They got White Scar bikes. Like,
and these things aren't small, people. Like, these are huge.
Yeah, these are action figure level. Like, these are big. Like, here's how much this dust was kicked up and then settled, and I go, oh wow. I remember when they first announced this stuff, and part of the first announcement was just the blank one that you paint yourself.
Yep.
And which I don't think they do anymore, unfortunately.
No.
But like,
well, no, sometimes they do, every now and then.
Yeah, but they go from that to like, oh, we have Tyranids. Oh, okay, why?
And they seem to be going strong, unlike McFarlane. The McFarlane line kind of just like dropped out of nowhere, probably because Joy Toy was just cranking these things out. They don't need McFarlane toys anymore.
You have the Astra Militarum Sentinel.
Yeah. And it fits
like you have
action figure inside of it.
Yeah, and you have, honestly, if you're just looking at, you could field an army with what they have.
Yes.
Like, if you spend enough money, you could build a squad. You could have Terminator support. You could have an apothecary. You could have a dreadnought. You might not be mechanized, not yet. But as I say that, I'm looking, and they have vehicles. So, like, they have, like, like you said, the quad and whatnot. But I thought they had, or they were going to do some other stuff. But the point is, you have enough to make actually an army that would be kind of sick on the, like, strength-wise. But scale-wise, blows my mind. Like,
yeah, I gotta find out exactly how tall these miniatures are.
I forget.
They think they're at least 7 inches tall.
They have a spec for them, I think.
Okay, they are. So the item dimensions is 7.5 feet long.
Oh, not feet.
Feet.
Yeah.
2.6 inches wide and 6.2 inches high.
I think it's safe to say, consider each one is an Imperial. Yeah, the 1/18. They're basically like Imperial Knights.
Yeah.
Basically.
And they have vehicles that will fit them.
Which is insane. Like, it's insane. Like, you know what this reminds me of? When I was a kid, and I was subscribed to MechForce Quarterly for a year for BattleTech stuff, there was an article because at that time, ArmorCast made like
ArmorCast.
real big upscaled miniatures for BattleTech. So like the Atlas was almost a foot tall.
Deep cut.
Yes, it is. But they made things that were very big, way above the scale. And there was like a homebrew thing that was catching on to be pretty popular for people who could afford that stuff. And there was rules for how to play BattleTech at that scale. Like weird approach, like this scale up movement and stuff. And you could now have like, you would need a massive table / floor / garage to play on, but you could, and they have bases to stand on. Yeah. Like they have, so you could literally design, like take cardboard, make buildings and ruins and stuff. You could do the most over the top game of 40K ever, and not really have to like squint to see it because of all the options.
And I mean, like, I just want to get one of these miniatures and put it down and go, man, scale creep, dudes.
I mean, what?
They have Deathwing Knights. I didn't know that. They have Drago.
Because why not? Right? Yeah, they have Grey Knight stuff. Like, sure.
Custodes, Penitent Engines.
I forgot to have Custodes.
There's so
much. They have the Sororitas and they have the Custodes.
Yeah. They have,
so you have the
Black Templars, Salamanders.
Like,
They have
What?
Astra Militarum Cadians. It's
I mean,
ridiculous.
they have Necrons.
Yep.
And it's not like, oh, it's a Necron warrior. They have Immortal. They have Deathmark. Like, they have enough variety where you could do, like, a kill team of that alone. And they've announced new Ultramarine Cataphractii Terminator squad.
Mm-hmm.
Three-person squad of Terminators in Cataphractii armor. And they already have Terminators. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
It's
Like,
just
what a time to be alive as a 40K fan, for sure. But, like, you're a massive Joy Toy, and you must be stopped. Like, this is ridiculous.
and like I said, they got
If you
Titus
want your
coming out.
if you want your old school sanguinary guard, get them from Joy Toy.
They'll be huge, but
Like, it's ridiculous, and it's a squad. Like,
yep.
you get a squad. I just don't. I honestly, I don't. I said it needed to be stopped. I'm not. I don't hate it. Go for it. Whatever. But like, but why though? Like, why there's such variety that we have different chapters of Space Marines, including White Consuls, which is a deep cut.
Yeah.
Because like, why? I think they were part of lore for something recently about stuff, but that's about it. Like, it's just, I don't. Terminator armor. Like, I don't understand what's the objective here. Like, what? Like, I thought originally it was to collect something, have it on your table or on your book stand or nightstand or whatever. Like, hey, look, it's a Space Marine that's tall, it's big, and it's posable, and that's cool.
You know exactly what the objective end goal here is. Joy Toy wants them to bring Inquisitor back.
This is Inquisitor on steroids. I mean, like, because Inquisitor was like 54 millimeters.
Yeah.
That was the Inquisitor scale.
Well, everything's been going up in scale. Epic went bigger scale when it came back, so why not Inquisitor?
But like, you honestly, I'm honestly surprised, and I say this without knowing, so let me look it up real quick. Yeah, no, I don't see it. I'm surprised, and maybe we'll see it, that they didn't do Death Watch. Really just be like, okay, here's like, and like do Death Watch to like the nth degree, where like have it like have your standard like stereotypical squad, and then have like a mystery box of 2 Space Marines, and it's a mystery what chapter they are. Because you could have it be a Black Shield, you could have it be a Blood Angel, Space Wolf, Dark, whatever, and just have that like, so you can have like, look at my Death Watch squad of 10 dudes and look at all the different chapters or whatever, right? Like, Death Watch feels like it's definitely something Joy Toy should do. I really like the Thousand Sun stuff, don't get me wrong, I really want one, but I feel like Death Watch is a missed opportunity at the moment, and maybe, and I say this even though they did Sanguinary Guard, and we got new Sanguinary Guard models coming, maybe they're waiting for Death Watch to get re-kicked off or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. Right?
Though I know Death Watch is now merged into the Imperial Agents Codex, which I'm happy for. I didn't really like them as an army.
I didn't mind what they did. Like, their vehicles were awesome, right? Like, all that stuff was really cool. But yeah, no, I agree, because I have Codex Armageddon.
Uh-huh.
And when you look at the force disposition of Codex Armageddon, and it goes to like Death Watch, it shows like 2 kill teams, like 14 dudes maybe.
Yep.
And it's like that they went in like you typically read about Death Watch as like a squad.
Yeah.
In the middle of a war to do a very specific thing. They didn't roll in like an army.
Yeah.
So I agree with that. It's nice to have them back to that.
I understand everyone being upset about it because they invested in the army, but for me it's kind of also like with Custodes. I'm not a big fan of Custodes as an army in 40K because like the lore just doesn't support that they do that.
Yeah, as best as they try to, it's like, okay, I see what you're saying here, but it would be like a combat patrol size thing or something.
Even in the Horus Heresy, at the height of their activity, there was only 2 times that they went in big numbers, and that was when the palace was invaded and when Russ asked them to help them kill Prospero.
Yeah.
Beyond that, in every book, it's like 2, 3 Custodes the most at any given time.
Because they absolutely wrecked face. One Custodes alone killed 2 chapter masters and went for a Primarch before getting stopped by another chapter master.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just talking about, they gunned down some of Star Chase. No, chapter master level of experience and capability is, so it's just like, you're in my way, get out of my way. And it's just like, oh,
Yep.
okay.
No. Um, and jumping over with to that, because we're getting pretty long-winded with this podcast
Yeah.
here. Space Marine 2 comes out.
Which Joy Toy has toys
They
for.
have toys for. They could get a Titus Joy Toy, which I would have liked that in the collector's edition over the statue.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with the statue because it was just like a bust, really.
Yeah, I don't mind.
And
busts,
nothing,
but,
me either. But it just.
But when you have
I
the
didn't like
Joy
it
Toy
much.
there, why not make him a limited edition Joy Toy?
Yeah, right.
Like you probably would have sold more copies if that.
Granted,
was
they
the
did
case.
sell out, but yeah.
It did. I didn't know the special edition sold out, but anyway,
Oh,
they
yeah.
could have made more.
Yeah, exactly. Because Joy Toy can make so many, so it'd be fine.
Joy Toy just pumps these things out more than Sigmar.
Yes.
So that game comes out on Monday, and I will be experimenting with live streaming with this game. We'll see how well that goes. So that'll be around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I don't work the next day, so we'll go on for as long as I can stay up.
There you go.
Because I don't have anything to
And
do on Tuesday.
And you can definitely expect eventually some co-op stuff.
Yep. Oh, I'm going to see if I can get a buddy. It'll depend on my buddy Bill, Evil Bill from Wasteland Salvage Company. If he's down with doing the live stream, then all right there. If not, then I'll do a recording afterwards. So working on getting a live stream of that tomorrow. But Space Marine 2 comes out, and I don't know about you, but I have been waiting for this game.
Space Marine 1, which I had the collector's edition stuff for. Now my brother has it, and it's because he collects gaming stuff, so he has it in his collection. Mm-hmm. I love Space Marine 1. So much so that I also own it. I own it on console when it came out, and then I got the anniversary edition on Steam.
Nice.
And I played through the campaign on both. I enjoy Space Marine 1. It did a fantastic job of, and I suspect we'll see this here too, of doing two things really well.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like we capture the feeling of, I don't know, being a Space Marine, right? Like if you play Space Marine 1, you tearing through stuff like, yeah, that's what I do. And also maintaining the feel of what the lore states for the setting, while also being an action video game and having to cater to that whole concept, right? Because there is a concept there. And you can't be super lore accurate in an action game, taking away from the fact that it's a video game. Like, there's things to keep in mind. And I know there was a lot when Space Marine 1 came out. I would call it nitpicking, and they're doing it. Some of it was in good fun, some of it was legitimate, where people are like, this isn't accurate. You can't attack like that. It's like, have you read novels? Because they don't follow the tabletop miniature game in a novel either. Like, this is a video game. It's going to be a little over the top in the amount of stuff you're killing with your bolter, sure. But still, like, I'm looking forward to it. My biggest peeve of 1, I'm sure it's going to be in 2 because it's the same style of game, is there's no natural jump.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also because it's third person and follows a certain way of doing things, and I get that. I would be now. We have the Space Hulk Deathwing game for a first-person game,
Yep.
which is phenomenal. But I like
the only complaint I had about that game was the ending.
That and like
the lack of ending,
and also like to run it on a machine. It's like, so get yourself a nuclear power plant.
Yeah.
Overclock it, and then you might be able to run it. But like I had a heavy requirement to run that.
Yeah,
thing.
no.
But I just prefer first person because I'm so much better than third person. And also, like, I've done controls, so I've done controller and I've done mouse keyboard. For me, they're about the same. I understand why this is definitely a mouse keyboard game or a controller game for certain people, but like even in that, I just feel like I'm like one of the best things I liked in the first game was when you could actually had the stalker that you could actually aim like a sniper. They're like, oh, first person mode, I can shoot stuff now. It's just like that's it. But I understand third person because it's a visually stunning game, and you want to see your power armor,
Yeah.
right? It's like, come on now. I think they're gonna do well. Eh, Of, no more Primaris. Of course, he's gonna be
Yep.
Primaris.
Um,
Why wouldn't we have a reasoning for that?
I do like. I find it interesting how they managed to take a game that some people weren't aware or just decided to ignore the fact that Space Marine 1 takes place in an alternate timeline.
Yeah,
Where instead of Kato Sicarius becoming the second company commander, it was Titus. And so a lot of people are always like, "Oh no, he Kato's his successor." Is like, no, he's not. Like, he's not at all. No, it just I understand they don't say who Kato replaced in his lore. The game developers outright said it's not him.
right.
So but I like the new change in the fluff to incorporate him
Yeah.
because Kato does not say they never state how Kato becomes second company commander. So it was nice for them to finally fill in that gap and go, yeah, no, it's official. It was Titus, then Sicarius. And if you guys haven't checked it out yet, Lore Master did a whole video on Titus, and I kind of liked what was the story they added to what happened to him between 1 and 2 is actually very interesting.
Oh yeah, I that narrative beat is cool. The weird thing is with Sicarius,
Mm-hmm.
and this is super nitpicky, of course, because we do that. So one of the things is the amount of time that passes between 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
right? It isn't. I mean, for us, it's a long time, but it really isn't that long of a time.
Yeah.
I don't know because I haven't dug super deep on Sicarius.
Mm-hmm.
How long he's been captain of Second Company, but we have to remember during the Medusa 5 campaign, before he had a model, when the Twin Lightning Claw guy was just a stand-in for him, he was leader of Second Company then. And I don't know what that is in the timeline of 40K, but it's just like, we don't know who replaced, but we also don't. I don't know for how long he's been a captain, because that messes with time.
I think in the long run, they just took the events of Space Marine 1 and pushed them back
Well,
instead, because they never establish when Space Marine 1 happens. It never actually gives
no,
a
they
date.
they don't, but we do know when Space Marine 2 happens with with being Primaris,
Yep.
which also has a connotation that Belden's back because
Yep.
it's the same deal,
Yeah,
right?
which was
So
basically
we know
he got wounded, and just like Ragnar, a dreadnought wasn't good enough. They had to throw him into. They had to make him a Primaris to save his life.
but the time span between the two is important because it's really the amount of time that he basically been doing his penance and everything else.
Yep.
Or I'm not a trader.com, right? Like,
I'm not a trader.com.
Isn't, you know, it's not that long. I mean, we see his face, right?
Yep.
He has how many service studs?
3, 4?
4? So that means he's got 200 years of service.
Yep.
So, because depending upon
Depending on the color and the chapter. Everyone was saying that it was 200 years is what his service studs are saying, because it's different. Because Dark Angels, the service studs have a different time frame to them than with Ultramarines. Yeah, he's got 4 service studs.
Yeah, so I believe that's 50 years of stud.
Yeah.
How many do you have in Space Marine 1?
I don't think he had any in Space
Marine.
Well,
it might not have. It might have just been a design choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because he would definitely have some being a captain at that point.
Let me see. He has 2 in Space Marine 1.
So that would mean 100 years pass.
Roughly. But
so, how long has Sicarius been a captain?
But now here's the thing: because of what happened to him after Space Marine 1, they may not. He wasn't with the chapter to gain the other service studs.
Well, I don't think he has to be with the chapter.
It's because
being service.
So when Lore Master, basically the Inquisitor said he's dead, and kept him hidden. So no one knew he was alive.
No, but
So he wouldn't have gotten service studs because no one knew he was around to give him them.
right, but he has them. And I don't think he's been in the back of
If
the chapter for 100 years. I think 100 years is. I think he's
I think
whatever
a
his.
hundred years,
I'm not.
I think 100 years has been when he was in the Death Watch because the Inquisitor kept him. So essentially, the whole story is the Inquisitor took him and brought him to his own secret sanctuary, where he kept a buttload of space marines and other people that had showed resistance to chaos, and he was doing horrible experiments on them to find out what made them resistant. It was
Right.
then revealed that he also, just like the Inquisitor in Space Marine 1, spoilers, is possessed. And they kill him, and they find his tomb full of dudes. And then for Titus was like, oh, I can't go back to my chapter. I have been so dishonored. They think I'm a traitor and all this other jazz when they think he's dead. And
Yeah.
because that's what the Inquisitor told him. And then he went and joined the Death Watch as a Black Shield.
Right. He did. Now there is, from my limited understanding, a bit of not rework of that, but a bit of like combine. Putting all the threads together. But even like, and further to that point, I don't know how many centuries Kato has led Second Company, but I don't like. It's just a case of even if it's just when he's actively a Black Shield and gets 2 more service studs because he's been a Black Shield for so long, we're not looking at like a half a millennia. Like we're looking at a very, it's just one of those weird things, and it does even back in Space Marine 1, and I think they're finally getting it. It's like we don't need any alternate stuff.
Yep.
Just use the characters we know, and we're fine with that. And they're getting that. Like this, as much as people want to, the Ultramarine movie, which you got a lot of flack, and it is very weird, but I did enjoy it. It is very weird.
I enjoyed
that was
it,
also
but it
not.
just left me just with too many questions.
Yeah, but it was also not Sicarius or anybody
Yeah.
that we knew, and it's just one of those things where if you're gonna use an iconic chapter with an iconic company of that chapter that has perhaps some of the most fleshed out lore of any company ever, just use what we know. It's just, or it clearly established that this is like in that case of the movie that it was before Sicarius,
Yep.
or like and Sicarius took over, or in the case of whatever. But I think finally we're getting to a point because we saw this at Dawn of War, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we first saw Abaddon's face in one of the game's like post credit things. It's like, oh, we're getting names of real dudes in the lore. Like this stuff's happening. So like it's like I think we're at that point now where the IP is like, okay, we can just use our IP, like as it is, without making an alternate reality thing of it, which is great to see them kind of like retcon Space Marine 1 and Space Marine 2, like to Space Marine 2 that way and everything. But I'm looking forward to it. I like the idea of the co-op.
That was when that happened, I was like, oh, that's cool, because in every book, how often is the Marine by himself? And when he is by himself,
Right.
it's because he got separated. Like they always go in teams. That's like their thing, and it just fits so perfectly.
I do really like that. I look forward to playing co-op.
Oh, so much.
And the customization in here. I know Space Marine 1 had it to a degree, but it just feels more like I don't want to say right, but it just feels more natural in having a co-op situation, and I like that. I like because they could have easily said, "Hey, we got co-op," and you're just three. You pick who you are from the Ultramarines.
Yeah.
But the fact that they went, no,
You could be any
obviously
Marine in co-op
you
mode.
could pick. You can be whatever chapter you want to spend the resource points to unlock the livery and everything for. And oh yeah, also you can just make up your own paint scheme, and you can just make your own chapter, more or less to a degree. You're not going to be able to import like icons and whatnot, but like you can do that. And I just think like that just makes it so much more of a win and so much more of a yes. Because even if it was just you're from the second company or whatever, or even if they pick like, hey, co-op mode, you're fifth company because reasons, whatever, fine. It would have been cool. I still would have loved it. But the fact that I could obviously make a Dark Angel is even better.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just really, I think that's just really cool, and it's just not something that I would have if it was, like I said, just Ultramarines, still would have been hyped for co-op mode.
Mm-hmm.
But it just gets that much more. Like, that's cool, and I definitely appreciate that.
It's good. I'm really excited about just how much grander the scale seems to be
Yeah,
in this game. Like, they are definitely doing what makes a good sequel, and that's upping the ante from the last one. I would prefer a different enemy to be in it, because then I wouldn't be feeling so bad about killing them all. If you've seen the trailer that reveals the second enemy in the game, it makes me sad because now I have to kill those people, and everyone would know how me and James feel about that. But whatever, it is what it is. It's the Space Marine 2. I think I'm very excited for it. I also am kind of pseudo concerned that I might get disappointed because of how much hype. GW's done so much marketing with this game that I'm like, oh, this thing better be good. Like, they posted statues in the middle of parks. They've got the Joy Toys. They got the board game. And one thing that also gets me concerned is the fact that it was delayed twice. And we've had so much bad things happen when a game gets delayed. And I know people have been praising this game already who had the 4-day early access. Not a big fan of that kind of stuff, but that's a whole other topic. But
yeah.
I'm excited, but I'm hoping that my excitement is justified.
Right.
I've heard that the campaign is 12 hours, which is a nice chunk of game. Um, and I'm
And of course, that time is going to fluctuate,
Yep, how
depending
fast
upon
you go.
how fast slash capable you are going through
Yep.
it, what difficulty you are doing it, and also like whenever I play games like this, I know I'm gonna not stop and smell the roses,
Mhm.
but I'm going to be like, ooh, what's that?
Yep.
What's over there? Somebody's talking. I want to listen to it. Like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
because unless there's like an actual timer because something's gonna blow up in a game, I want to drink it all in,
Mm.
which is gonna up the time.
Yep.
But like delays also delays can be scary. I mean, Space Marine 1 was basically completely redone and delayed
Yep.
also. But like I feel like delays can be scary nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't always relate to being scary in the
Be-
past. And I think if we look at that, we can have some comfort in that. I think also people need to just there's so much hype, but if you remember Space Marine 1, a sequel is going to play more or less the same.
mm-hmm.
So like in terms of
Yep.
controls and stuff like that, and what we've seen obviously from gameplay footage. So just I think for people, don't lose sight of that. Don't be like, oh wow, this is not the controls are like, oh, this is so simple. Well, of course it is.
Yep.
It's a sequel. Like it's just it'd be like saying StarCraft controls the same and StarCraft 2. It's like, well, of course it does. It's a sequel to a strategy game.
That's the part of, I think part of that fear is because of Dawn of War 3. And that was super hyped because we had the memory of, Space Marine 2 did change the formula from Space Marine 2. Dawn of War 2 changed the formula from Dawn of War 1, but it changed it in a way, and they didn't hide it. They were like, "Yo,
Yeah.
this is the game now. It's not the same RTS that you're used to." Dawn of War 3 I thought it was going to be like just like Dawn of War 1 with a little bit of Dawn of War. I thought, no, correction. I thought it was going to be like Dawn of War 2 mechanically, because that's what the trailer came out, and it ended up just being like a League of Legends clone or whatever those mob games are called.
Yeah, Dawn of War 3, I enjoyed my time playing
I
through
enjoyed
it.
the
I
story.
thought the campaign, I enjoyed the story completely do it. I tried doing some like instant action just against the computer, and I that's where my enjoyment really faltered off
Mm.
because it's Dawn of War 2 esque in like you build a base but you don't. But
Yeah.
at least in Dawn of War 2, it's like you really don't build a base here. This is more of a tactics game. We had this ability to fall back
Yep.
on this, but you really don't build a base here. Dawn of War 3 looked great. Some of the cut like the intro was very weird, like this like the way they did certain stuff. It was cool looking to a degree, but it's just that really was unfortunate because especially with the way it was set up, I'm like, okay, takeaway, the co-op Dawn of War 2 thing, where basically
Oh,
survival.
Last Stand,
Last
amazing.
Stand was amazing, and Dawn of War 3 basically had the setups to make an amazing Last Stand with so many more options of it, and they never went for
So
it. I'm just like,
this
come
is a
on.
testament to Dawn of War. With this is a testament to how good multiplayer on Dawn of War was. Dawn of War 2. I don't like doing a lot of multiplaying with other people because I'm just not that good, so I don't get enjoyment out of getting my butt handed to me all the time. I don't know why I'm censoring myself. Don't ask me why. Dawn of War 2 Retribution, I clocked in 130 hours. Maybe 20 of those were story. The rest was Last Stand.
I really enjoyed the story in that. Like, I played through the campaign on all the factions like multiple times there. But like, if I remember, Dawn of War 2, to put in perspective, I could have swore, and maybe I can't tell because I don't have it because, well, I have Dawn of War 2 everything. But I believe you could even just
You
have
can just download
uh
Last Stand.
Last Stand.
Yep.
And to put it into perspective, granted this was like several years ago, I loaded into Last Stand and I found people and I
Yep.
played. It's getting harder and harder, and I don't know how well you're gonna be able to do that nowadays. But like Last Stand was fantastic, and if Dawn of War 3 had anything, it had a great foundation to make an awesome Last Stand that they never did
Yep.
anything with.
And what probably the best thing that Dawn of War 3 did was the Orc Wog Towers. That music is awesome.
Oh
I
yeah,
can jam to that all the
that was
time. They used it.
that was hilariously
They
awesome.
used it to introduce Gazgul's model when he got remade. That's how
Such a
awesome
good
it was.
thing. Yeah.
But the reason the orcs were there was beautiful. He wanted the
Yes.
super pointy stick. And that's
It's so orc. It's so
What
orc.
is it? A chopper? A shooter? It is a spear. The Spear of Keg. A super pointy stick?
Pointy stick, I
want it!
It's fan. It's just and people like to bash on orc stuff because
Yep.
it's silly there, but that's what makes orcs refreshing in a grim dark.
Mm-hmm.
They are grim dark, but it's also like you being to tell me it's a pointy stick, a super pointy stick. I want it. Like it's just perfect. It doesn't need any grandeur.
This Dawn of Retribution, he helps them out because he thinks he's going to get the Inquisitor's hat when he's done.
Yeah.
I'll
Like
do
there's
it
stuff
for
like that.
hat.
Like it works great, but like for Space Marine 2, there's a lot of hype. Now, admittedly, I've avoided a lot of it, and I avoid a lot of hype for things I'm interested in on purpose these days because sometimes you can get just overexposed, and then it's like, well, I saw so much of this, but like, but if you're not, like, it's just one of the things about hype is that it's supposed to get you carried away.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you have to ground yourself in that what this game is, and what it is a third-person kind of action
It's a Dynasty
shooter
game.
beat 'em up.
It's like Dynasty
Yeah,
Warriors.
more or less. Yeah, only with more story.
Yeah, it's got story.
And like, and yeah, stories, and you don't really have this outright arenas you go into and kill things in droves.
Mm-hmm.
Like you still kill things in droves. It's just you do it throughout a story.
Yeah.
but
This is a setting that works with.
yeah, that's why the big bad that you start off with in both games worked because in the first one it was orcs.
Yep.
And orcs are a horde, and this one is Tyranids.
Yep.
And if
It's are a
Tyranids perfectly,
horde.
it is also a horde.
Yeah.
So it justifies things, and it works out really well. Plus, they're a great. What Space Marine 1 did really well with the orcs, which I'm sure they're going to do well with the Tyranids here, is that they established that this is definitely a big threat, and it shouldn't be just disregarded for something else.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it makes a fantastic backdrop for doing the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like and the expediency and hecticness of doing that other stuff, because like, well, why can't we just regroup and take our time? Well, you see that that's why we can't do that.
No. From the cinematics that I've seen and the backgrounds, they execute perfectly just why a Tyranid invasion is a bad thing. In every background, there's some Tyranid of some sort flying across the screen. There's no break when Tyranids attack.
I love, and this started with Dawn of War 2, to my knowledge, anyway, at least in the visual representation. But I love the way that Tyranid Splinter Fleets are showcased as being this weird cloud in space descending upon a planet. Like, Fantastic Four is Galactus ain't got nothing on
Yeah.
this. Like this is a legitimate dangerous cloud. Like this is I just really like that because you don't have to know. You can just know like, oh, the system's being invaded by Tyranids, and you can look at a planet that you're approaching and go, well, that ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a storm cloud in space. That's clearly Tyranids. This isn't good. Like it's just I appreciate the aesthetical choice. Everybody always goes Ultramarines. Well, they're the poster child.
They are the poster child for this for 40K now, and that's just something we gotta learn to accept.
And they've been a poster child for a while.
Yeah.
Like, and as much as you may hate on
Fourth
Ultra,
edition is when they started being the poster child.
yeah, and as much as people like to bash Ultramarines, they are pretty cool. If we're gonna be honest,
I'll never say that, but
you don't have to say it to know it's true, though.
I'll never say that they're kind of cool because they're kind of lame in my opinion. But that's just me. But I understand that they are popular.
I mean, they're popular, and that's why they're poster child.
Yep.
The poster child because they're popular, and they're popular because they're poster child. It's a cycle, and when you get past all of that, just poster child popularity, MacGuffin stuff, and look at like the core of Ultramarines, it's just like with Prayer of 2,000 Suns.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember you're looking at a star case, and so they still have all like on top of maybe being like look at me, Warrior Kings or whatever, like. They're in a start date still, and they will mess you up. Like it's not like it's still Ultramarines.
Ultramarines, despite our opinions of them, are still Marines and are still capable of doing anything, even our most favorite chapters capable of doing. They can do. Like I think
they're made of the same stuff.
I think that's like going on just a side tangent, just to be like describe that for me is like one person always argued that the Astral Claws are a Dark Angels chapter because of three things. A, they use a lion as their icon. B, they turn to chaos. LOL traitor. Yeah. And 3, their bikers are the most skilled. And what he's talking about is all of the bikers in the Astral Claws are the best skilled pilots in the chapter. And I'm like, so how's that a reason? Well, Ravenwing. I'm like, okay. Find me a codex entry that says our X really sucks.
Yeah, right.
Like
you're not gonna put a Marine on a bike if they're not the best.
They're like, oh, but they have the best bikes. Read me the entry in the Ultramarines. What does it say about their bikers? Does it say, and we have the shittiest bikers in all of the Imperium? No. It's going to say their skills are unmatched. That's the answer to everything.
Because you're not going to say we're bad. Yeah. You're not going to put yourself down. Okay, so they got lions, right? Well, we have Celestial lions, so those Dark Angels.
But for example, like the Ultramarines Ultramarine Terminators aren't going to show up to a planet. Boom! Ultramarine Terminators, we're saved! It would have been better if the Deathwings showed up. We're kind of not that good.
Right, like...
Or, you probably should have begged for the Sanguinary Guard. You really wanted us? Like, no one's saying that.
Right, like, nobody's saying that. And yes. Game rules-wise for the miniature war game, the Ravenwing have a lot of extra special rules, and lore-wise, they are considered to be superior to basically everybody else's thing. Why? Because they never get off the damn bikes. Like, even the White Scars get off their bikes. And well, not like, obviously we can't do that in the game rules-wise, but my point is, like, the Ravenwing train for the bike. It's just like that's it. But it's just like Hawk Lords. Hawk Lords are skilled pilots, but are they Dark Angels because of that? No. Celestial Lions use a lion. Are they Dark Angels? Like,
I was just going off the whole idea of, we hate Ultramarines, but you can't deny the fact that they are just as capable as any other Space Marine chapter, whether you like them or not. You can't just see Dawn of War 2 going, well, they should have gotten salamanders. They would have done this much better. It's like, no, the Ultramarines would do it just as well. There would just be a lot more fire if it was the salamanders.
Right. And it's just... I don't know. It's just... I don't know. The
Lamenters would show up and they would be all, why me?
So that's the only chapter you can say if they showed up, things would get worse. Not because they're bad, because they're skilled. Things would develop unnaturally poorly for the whole system.
That's a game I want. A game where you're a
like,
lamenter and the game just gets worse and worse as you go on.
and it wouldn't have like in Space Marine 2, we know there's stuff coming
Yep.
on top of the Tyranids. But on top of that, it would be like, oh yeah, and Necron Tomb World woke up. Wait, what?
But
Excuse me?
that's what I
It's just
found
like
perfect. Dawn of War 3. You're a lamenter, a single lamenter, and you show up to a planet and he's like, what seems to be a problem? There's a small military group of 4 people that are holding up this base. I will deal with this. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, now those 4 people are dead. Oh no! It turns out half the army just fled to traitor. What? Oh no! It happens that chaos invaded them. Wait, what? Oh no! They're just there because Necrons are there. Just every faction just flops on top, and until you have to fight an Imperator Titan with your bolt pistol, and that's it.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked to see. I don't know if they said, but I hope that was an elementary scan, and I want to use it. So I was like, "Why are you so bad? Do you see the chapter I'm repping?" It's not that I'm bad. It's just things go horribly wrong.
You can always
but
do
like
with Imperial Fists. They also get dumped on every time too.
they get dumped on out of being stubborn. Lamenters are trying to do the right thing, and it's like we saved this planet. Well, there's not enough space on the transport ships. We'll just blow ourselves up because we need you guys to start something else. That's just horrible for my self-esteem. It doesn't matter. And it's not even in the game. Wouldn't be Lamenter was there even on purpose because the Lamenters are traveling. He would get separated from the chapter and end up somewhere to do something, and things just go horrible from there. It would just be like,
It looks like, looking at this, Lamentors are in it.
oh, sweet. Like, and the way the Lamenters game would end is that's like you defeat what would be the big bad, and then you leave, and the system automatically gets better. Like that's
That's the
That's
secret
what it
ending. You just leave.
you get lost in the warp, and it's actually the good ending because like everything is fine after that. But like that's the only case where you can say like, well, things don't go so well when we're around because we are hardly cursed for some reason. Oh yeah, and we still get the Black Rage. That sucks. But like,
Never catch a break.
but no. But outside of them, everybody else is pretty much on par. And they are on par. It's just that they are playing the game on super expert mode. That's what it is. That's what the mentors are. but I just think for hype, as with anything, people not curb. This difference between curbing expectation and just not letting hype get you carried away.
Yeah.
And I definitely am looking forward to the entirety of Space Marine 2 playing out. What I'm concerned for with Space Marine 2 is we're gonna have seasons, like a live game, and that always is concerning.
My favorite thing, though, about the season pass is all of it is cosmetic stuff, and all of the gameplay stuff is gonna be free.
Right. I just my point is like this is kind of like
you're talking about seasons, not the season pass. Sorry.
No, but like games as a service versus just being here's the game and then we support it with stuff to make money, but this is it. When you have seasons happening in the game, any game, that means there's going to be a limited time for doing stuff, and then it goes away, and then something else for doing stuff, and it goes away. Is that can get in the way of, like, say, a sequel or doing some actual big content. You know what I mean? And it becomes a live service thing and a cash grab, and it becomes like strangling it.
In case anyone who hasn't noticed, just as an update, so September is season 1. There's free updates, and then there's season pass stuff. The free update is ultra-wide support, private PvE lobbies, so you can just do it friends only, battle barge, sparring arena, and the season pass is cosmetic packs. Then season 2 is new PvE missions, a lethal difficulty, and you get a Neo Volkite pistol plus a new enemy. That's free. Then the season pass is the Dark Angels Champion Pack, Cosmetic Pack, and Weapon Skill Pack. I'll probably be buying that because Dark Angels.
Yeah. Did you see lethal difficulty?
Lethal, yep.
Like a new difficulty level?
Yeah. I guess...
Is that supposed to be above Angel of Death? That sounds pretty lethal to me.
I don't know. Maybe it's in between.
It's just so weird. That'd be the weirdest thing, too. Weird, just a new difficulty level. It's harder than the hardest thing? Nah, it's like right before it. Wait, what?
Then in 2005, we have Season 3, which is new PvE mission, new PvP game mode, new PvP arenas, a new enemy, a new PvE prestige ranks, and Battle Barge expansions. So they're going to expand the Battle Barge. Um,
We're gonna add on that. We're gonna add on that deck we always wanted,
Yep.
and we're going to.
They're going to add the bathroom deck so we'll finally know where they go when they have to.
We always wanted a family den room, and now we're finally gonna have it on this battle bar.
The season pass for season 3 is going to be one chapter will receive, another chapter will receive. Oh, one chapter will receive a champion pack, a cosmetic pack, chapter. Yep, sorry if I'm mispronouncing stuff. I apologize. Will receive a champion pack, a cosmetic pack, and a weapon skin pack. And then another chapter will receive a champion pack. Then season 4 is going to add horde mode, a new enemy, a new weapon, and the season pass is going to be one chapter will receive a champion pack, a cosmetic pack, and a weapon skill pack, and another chapter will receive a champion pack. Now, I don't know if this is important. It says incoming transmission at the bottom of those two. I don't know if there's going to be extra stuff in the season pass for those things, or if that's just
Right.
a cosmetic flavor thing here. And the calendar is subject to change.
Right, and this is basically like when it's great that it's basically cosmetic stuff.
I love that
but then you
the
have
cosmetic stuff is all that you're paying for.
the big thing about seasons is that what people say, and I'm experiencing this and playing Destiny 2 and other games like this, is that this is done differently than their model. But what this is, and what people will ultimately say as we wait for horde mode to come and stuff, is that this is just time gating. This is to inflate player stats and numbers to stick around to wait for something.
Yeah.
And that gets people kind of jaded and kind of burnt out. And I just feel like I get it. I don't know what the case is here. I don't know if they just weren't ready to have horde mode or they want to do something special with it and have it come out as like this thing. Totally cool, whatever. I'm looking forward to it. But
I've got a feeling that the horde mode is mostly just for their server systems. They're like, we can't handle all of this at once. Let's give ourselves some time for the system to balance out, and then we can do it.
But like, we're basically looking at a year's worth of time in seasons. That's typically how it goes when they show you X amount of seasons. Usually that's like 1 12-month period.
Yeah.
Usually. The question is, where do they go from there? Right? Like, do we just milk this until people are bored with Space Marine 2? Or is this becoming a trilogy? Like, what's the deal?
One thing they could do, and I would play the hell out of this, is Space Marine 2 style Last Stand. So do that same arena map area, but do it in the Last Stand mode. That would be something
cool.
Super awesome. And you can.
Now, I don't know what horde mode is going to do. I don't know if there's an end to horde mode or if that's kind of what they're going for. I don't know. But like, yeah, that would be really cool. What I would also really like is, now I don't know when they say champion pack what that means.
Champion pack is it comes with like extra little bits to add on to your character that's themed. Like with the Ultramarines, it's got that crest that they always have, and it's got a cup like a specialty shoulder pad.
Are we ever gonna get more classes?
More classes.
Because right now you have like
Season 3 will add a new prestige. It doesn't say no. It will add new prestige ranks to PvE. They don't mention anything about classes. They just mention adding new enemies.
Because what I would love to see, and I know we're not going to see them, is the ability to be a tech marine in a co-op mode.
That'd be cool.
And have and the ability to be an apothecary.
That would be really cool.
Because we're doing a super secretive special little mission thingy. I want the guy that can heal me, and I want the guy that can hack things and like make turrets and stuff. Like that would be like, especially for a horde. I just think I'm not looking for Terminators because this game is not meant to support that bulk. That's too much bulk. There's too much swole goals to be able to put into a game like this, right? Yeah. You're a Space Marine Terminator. So what does that mean? Basically, you destroy everything. Oh, well, that was boring. But like, I'm not expecting a dreadnought, as ridiculous as that would be. No,
the first game did a good job with that.
Yeah, but like, it did. But I'm just not expecting it, because you have to kind of now account for like the actual map and stuff. for these two units. But a Tech Marine and an Apothecary, I'd even love to see us be able, since we were a captain in Space Marine 1, now we're a lieutenant. You
Yep.
know, what everybody looks for in Space Marines these days is a lieutenant, so we are.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. But okay, well, why not have Apothecary, Tech Marine, Librarian, and or Chaplain?
Yep.
Give us a Psyker. I dare you. But,
Huh.
I don't know. I just think, like, if they're gonna do this stuff, and I don't know what they're looking for lengthwise of Space Marine.
Yeah.
Like, if their goal is to have this lead into a Space Marine 3, then I would understand. They go, then let us know that after a year and go, hey, one more year of this, and then guess what's coming? Space Marine 3, where you could be a Tech Marine,
Yep.
Apothecary, and Librarian. And then I'll be like, okay, fine. But like,
That.
if we're not gonna get that, I just think, they don't get enough love. Those
No.
units. You know what I mean?
Not at all. I barely use them. I don't even think I own any of the new ones because it's like, I never use them.
I think they're so much cooler in the lore than they are in the
They are.
tabletop, to be honest. So like that's why but like this is where a video game is perfect for them.
But so we will wrap it up here. So what do you guys feel about the quality of the model designs and how they're looking nowadays? Do you think they're falling behind? Do you think they look just fine? And all that other stuff like involving that, because I'm running out of words in my brain. What is your thoughts on the Joy Toys? Do you collect them? I don't think I've ever actually
Yeah.
met someone who's collected Joy Toys.
I haven't either. I've been wanting to get them, but for some reason I stay in my hand. And it's not because obviously I could spend that money better elsewhere. It's not like it's super
very
expensive,
pricey.
but it's just
Like for the price of one Joy Toy, I could get a unit for my army.
yeah, they are that, but I will also say they are more affordable than I would think for something of that scale
This is
that
true.
is partnering with GW.
This is true. And what are your thoughts on Space Marine 2? Those who have played it, do you love it? Do you hate it? Try to avoid spoilers because we don't like that kind of stuff here. If you haven't played Space Marine 2 yet, what are you excited for? What are you hoping for? And like again, on Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be making an attempt to live stream me playing this game. If it goes off, awesome. If not, I apologize. We are still learning. Me and James actually just before this we're trying to figure out how to set up streaming so we can do this kind of stuff for you guys. Maybe do some video game plays. James has got his own little thing working on that he'll do. We'll keep you announced because we're not gonna just go, nothing. He's not doing it.
It's in partnership with Fearless
We'll
Games.
partner with him. We'll give him a hand here. We're not gonna cut him loose.
But in that regard, our boomer is showing in that we can't just instantly be all up on the text.
And also looking into maybe doing some live streaming painting sessions because I think that's a good thing for that, especially with
a nice chill chat.
A nice chill chat. But we will discuss that later. So thank you all for watching, and until next time, Fearless Gamers, take care.